Hey everybody, Jimmy from the Triple C Collective here for another Superhero Saturday for the Moon Knight season finale. That's right, episode 6, Gods and Monsters. The series finale, far as we can all tell, like it's been pretty open by Oscar Isaac and a lot of the team that they're only doing this one series as of right now. There's been talk of him possibly showing up in Moon Knight showing up in Werewolf by Night because that's when Moon Knight first appeared. That Werewolf by Night special supposed to be coming out, I believe, in later this fall in 2022, like around October or something. Um, but yeah, so other than that, there's no real plans for Oscar Isaac, or like he's been pretty clear about it, at least out in the public. He could totally be lying through his teeth though at us, which is very true. He could be lying. He could be just trying to save face. But even when he was promoting it, he said that like he thinks it was really only going to be this because he didn't sign like a huge contract like everybody else has. So interesting. Enough of the conjecture outside of what might happen. Let's talk about what actually happened in this episode. Episode 6 was really good. Like I said, I've been a big fan of Moon Knight. I don't have any real like major ties to the character. Like I knew a little bit about him going into it. I was actually probably more so excited that Oscar Isaac was playing him, and then when they brought in Ethan Hawke to be the villain, like I was like, all right, cool. Like I'll watch these two, battle each other out, and then the character of Layla, which who's been like made up and stuff for the show, like has been also really great. So all of this has been really good, and so let's dive in. The episode, we get a normal opening episode. Like sometimes we've had a few episodes that gave us that cold open, kind of connecting things that had happened, or gave us a little bit more information. Like we had that with Layla and stuff. Um, Mark is still in the water post shooting. All of episode 5, we only saw, Harrow as the doctor and everything like that. And we had the, trip through the memories and everything. So here it was great to see, like, the one thing that I've got to say that's very interesting choice that they made is like Ethan Hawke throughout this whole series when he's Arthur Harrow, not Doctor Harrow. When he's just Arthur Harrow, the cult leader and stuff, he's very sweaty all the time, like extremely sweaty. And man, I'm worried about you. I'm worried about your hydration. Um, like it's weird. Like he's always so sweaty, and like it was the first thing that I saw because like when we saw him last episode, he was the doctor, and like he's all like clean cut and he's all like put together way more than he is now. And so it was really interesting. It was really interesting. And it's just always one of those things that has like stuck out to me. So we see him and they're pulling Mark out of the water post like shooting and everything because yeah, the last time we saw Harrow in this like place with like Mark was when he shot him at the end of episode 4. So like we spent an entire episode without him. Um, Spending this whole episode without him, like Mark had his journey, but Harrow now so it's interesting because in the last episode we saw a bunch of the bodies coming down and stuff while Mark was in there. And I think what this beginning portion is actually a little bit of an overlap, maybe of that. Possibly because I mean, we don't know how time necessarily works in the duat and all of that. So like, it was just interesting because I feel like the breaking of it and like we get Harrow's people um like weighing scales like later on. So I don't know when Harrow and his people would have, because they thought he had released Amit then, but he didn't because that hadn't happened yet. And so like it was weird. I don't know what that huge major death was that we saw in the duat with them, um, when they thought it was Haro releasing Amit, but it clearly wasn't, because we see Haro release Amit here, um, and that's like, you know, I don't know. It's just a weird lineup. It's just one of those things. I don't know why I'm getting hung up on it, but as I was like talking about this, I was like, oh my god, I just thought about this. So we get, they're taking, Ahmet. We get Steven. We get Haro saying, Steven, Mark, whoever else might be in there. Is this another Jake thing? Is the missing spots where it was neither Steven nor Mark who had done anything of like the killing or whatever? There's been times where Mark has asked like, hey, Steven, was this you? And Steven's like, no, I thought this was you. And Mark's like, no, this ain't me, man. So is there somebody else? Was there just somebody else there? With this statement, I think it's kind of meant that like the elusive Jake Lockey is here. Is this other persona, is the one that was in the sarcophagus that wasn't opened when they were in at the end of episode 4, when they were going through and first got introduced into the mental asylum and everything like that. But Haro's, staff really starts to glow the purple, and glows purple. They take, because it's like the power of Ahmed and the staff, and then the Yusanti, the little stone statue thing that Ahmed's in. It all starts to glow purple and stuff, and then they leave. They leave and go into the Chamber of the Gods. Layla decides to go grab Mark. Tries to take Mark, out of the water, and he kind of slips back in. But then there's the scarab on top of Mark, and so she decides, you know what, I'm going after him. She picks up the scarab, follows it, because it's still going to follow the Yusanti that Haro has. So that's exactly what she does. She goes, follows, she joins with Haro, like puts her, covers up her face and everything, and joins Haro and his people in their little convoy, and they get to like a military like type checkpoint, and they're all the military people are like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be on this road. Why are you on this road? And Ethan Hawke just being just walking out there like, hey, calm down, it'll be fine. Hey, calm down, it'll be fine. And and he weighs their scales, or judges their scales, judges them, and almost all of them are killed. They get that purple, like, Dormammu type, like, energy stuff. Maybe it's not really Dormammu, but, like, it's probably from his same realm, that, that void or whatever, that got mentioned, I think, in episode 3, maybe, possibly 4. Either way, either way, they talk about that, and that's neither here nor there at this point. But the military checkpoint, they've got the convoy. They kill everyone there. Haro and his men start to clear the bodies, and Layla, being obviously unaffected and blending in, starts sneaking by and starts getting ready to do like her sneak kill attack onto Haro, onto Ethan Hawke. And Tarwet, the hippo goddess, she starts taking over some dead bodies, and we get some really great like sight gagging like stuff. Like my wife, who did not watch any of this show up to this point, sat down and when I was rewatching it to like take some notes and stuff, she sat down and watched some of it with me, and she happened to see this part and was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous, this is like, what is going on here? And it's true, and it's like, it's one of those things of like, it's a great sight gag. It's not like super scary or anything, but it is something that like was just a lot of fun to see, of like them just playing around with like, I don't know, just playing around with storytelling and stuff. I really like that. I thought it was a really great idea, because we have seen some of like the gods talk and like come through the avatars and all that kind of stuff. But what we do get is we get the release of Khonshu by Layla, trying to be and like Khonshu going back and forth of like, I need you to be my my avatar, and Layla's like, I'm not being your avatar. That's not how this is gonna work. I saw what Mark did to you, or like what you did to Mark and everything, and like we get or I'm sorry, no, we don't get Layla releasing Khonshu yet. We get Taweret saying to release Khonshu, and then for her to become Taweret's avatar. Then we get Harrow. He walks into the Chamber of the Gods. We get a quick cutaway from Harrow as he kills all the gods in the God Chamber. Like, we don't see it at all, and it's a really interesting choice because, like, I don't know, Marvel in these last episodes usually have like a big CGI, or at least in like their third act of like anything really ends up being like kind of a big CGI punch 'em up fest. So it's like, it's both interesting. It's both interesting where like they don't give us that in the middle of this episode, as opposed to like, you know, usually putting it at the end so we don't see it at all. Which is an interesting choice. I would have liked to have seen how they go out, because all those gods are like, I can only assume it's just like bam, bam, bam for Harrow as he's like knocking them out, because we come back, like when we get the cut back to it, like all the gods are gone. Like Layla has released Khonshu, Harrow has released Ammit. You know, we get Ammit judging Harrow, saying that like Harrow does not have like balanced scales, and he was hoping that he can make his penance and everything for it. And he's all just like, I'm a sorry disciple, but if you gotta kill me, you gotta kill me. I accept your judgment and everything. And Ammit is like, I don't know, she's really confusing and stuff, of like, no, your uncertain path is because of what you have to do for me as like my avatar and stuff, and once you're done being my avatar, you will be you will be judged then, or whatever. And he was like, well, I am not perfect. And she was like, well, the last avatar that I had perfectly balanced scales, and then I ended up, you know, in a stone for 2,000 years. And that was really interesting, because we found out that that was like Alexander the Great, which I kind of want to find out, like, why did Alexander the Great decide to betray her? You know, why did he decide to do that? Just interesting. It's an unanswerable question here at this point. Like, like, it's just one of those things. Like, why? Yeah, I kind of want to know what is your rationale for that? Moon Knight story team, Mohammed Diab and Jeremy Slater and all of them over there. So after Harrow and Ammit, or after Ammit judges Harrow, and like Harrow accepts her or accepts to be her avatar, Layla finally releases Khonshu, and Khonshu is denied being Layla's avatar. And she's like, we're going to have to do it together. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it as your avatar. Khonshu then gets to the God Chamber, starts fighting with like Ammit, and starts basically being a distraction for Ammit and Harrow and them, while Layla goes ahead and tries to figure out what else she needs to do. It's also very interesting that we have Layla taking the scarab, and then we also get Khonshu calling her little bug and stuff. I don't know. I did that line just like really stood out to me. We also get this conversation between Khonshu and Layla going back and forth of like Layla being like, Mark doesn't trust you, so I don't trust you, and I'm not going to be your avatar. We're going to have to figure out a way to do this together without me being your avatar. So just like let's figure it out, man. Let's figure it out, Khonshu. Let's stop arguing and actually work together and actually do something. Um, and like she actually says like without you, Khonshu enslaving me. And I love it. Khonshu can go shove it, and Layla, stand your ground. Great job. I just love bullying Khonshu as well. Like, he's kind of a dick. But Khonshu, again, he faces Ammit without the avatar. Harrow sends out a search party for Layla. Mark. We get a cut to Mark in the field of reeds with Tawret. And, she's talking about the scales of balance. Your journey's over. You've got peace that you've always wanted. And, Mark's like, yeah, but, like, what about Steven? And she's like, well, he's out there in the Duat. Like, he's a stone temple, man. Or, like, a stone statue, maybe. Is it? Yeah, and he's not a temple, but he's a stone statue, like out there in the desert. Like, eventually we'll chase other people that are unbalanced the same way the rest of those Saiyan statue zombies chased them earlier, as well. So when we get this, Mark is like, I'm not doing this. I can't be here anymore. I won't leave Steven. I need to go get him. Like, he is a part of me and I am a part of him, and this just like I just can't leave him alone. Ammit and Khonshu then have their silly little conversation about balance and sinners and worthy avatars, and it's just it's just meant to like poke and jab at each other. We get it. We get that they're at that they are philosophically like very close, but also very different in what they want. Like, they both want to punish sinners. Ammit just wants to do it if you're gonna sin at all, or like be a bad person at all in your life. Just kill you right away before you even have a chance to make a choice and change. Whereas Khonshu wants to punish the people after they have made that choice to change, and that somebody like Harrow is an unworthy avatar, and she's like, well, what about yours? And he's like, well, mine's dead. I don't have an avatar right now. But Mark, then we get a cut back then to Mark and the Duat, and the reeds, like we see it, like he starts walking away. He sees the statue of Mark. He goes Mark sees the statue of Steven. He goes running to it. And it's still they're still right in front of the gates of Osiris, that would like get them to the other side, back to like Earth and everything like that. And it's really awesome because like Mark talks to Steven like, you were the best part of me. You were the real superpower that I had. Like, I can't do this without you. I failed you. I was meant to protect you, and I failed you. And like then the gates start to open, and a little heart shows up in between the hand of Mark and Steven there. Whereas like before they obviously had two hearts, one for each of them, but now it's like they're two people living together, like living in balance with each other, which is also pretty neat to have there. And or maybe not, maybe it is just like, the gods just being like, no, go, we got bigger fish to fry right now, dude. So yeah, that's really it's really awesome that we see that they're able to get through they're able to start making their way to the gates. They don't necessarily get through it, but they start making their way through it. Khonshu and Ammit basically destroy the Chamber of Gods in their like big in their big like throwing around, like almost apparating, like from like Harry Potter, how they just like phew, and then like they're gone and then they show up in another place. It's kind of something like that. Like we see like a battle of that, especially from Khonshu. He's like phew, traveling and stuff, and then he's just poof gone out of there, and then shows back up, and then poof gone out of there. You know, it's actually really cool. I like. I might be sounding like I'm trying to like make fun of it, but I actually am a huge fan of it. I've really liked it. But then we cut back to Mark and Steven. They're still like, they're still messed up. Like they got a bum leg, probably still, I can only assume, from not turning back from stone properly or whatever, and still being hurt from that. Um, but Mark and Steven are running. They're getting, like, we see this huge sand like tidal wave start coming towards them, and then Toweret on her big old boat cuts through that wave, like slices it right down the middle, leaving basically a path for like the two waves to keep going, but not have it like hit Mark and Steven as they're still making their way into the gates, and it's really awesome. Like it's a really great, awesome, fun sequence. I gotta say, things like this, like the whole duat and stuff and everything like that, it has been great. Like I loved like the traveling on the boat and all the sand attack from the like the sand zombie, statue zombies, or whatever you want to call them, and everything. Like all of that was really cool being in there. Uh, it was all really, really, really cool stuff. But they don't get swallowed up by the wave. They're able to make their way through the gates. Khonshu then feels Mark and does his little whoo thing and goes and like does the whole spiel of like, do you want to be a protector of the travelers of the night and everything like that. And they rejoin. Steven, as they like, they rejoin in where Mark's body was, in the temple of Alexander the Great. We see the two bullets fall, hit the ground. It's awesome. It's so good. Like this whole thing, and then we just see him get into the Moon Knight costume. We get a quick shot of Moon Knight being outside on the rock, on like the red rocks of like the desert and stuff. And it's a really quick shot. It's only a couple of seconds that it's up there. But it's great because then we see Khonshu off in the distance, and, Moon Knight's running over there and meeting up with them. And then Steven is like, hey, we got to talk about the deal here, about what's going on, because this isn't going to last forever again. Like, we kind of just want to take care of Ahmed and Haro and then, like, be on our way, basically. And Khonshu begrudgingly agrees. Does say, like, at a time like this, you really want to negotiate? And Steven's like, yeah, I do. Because that's the interesting thing, is that it's actually Steven that does the negotiating here, as opposed to Mark. Because Steven did see Mark's memory of, like, becoming Moon Knight and, like, dying, like, bleeding out and like dying basically at the foot of like the temple, or the temple, the statue of Khonshu, and then he comes to him and is like, hey, I'll give you the offer or whatever. Steven from that point was like, dude, Khonshu kind of like manipulated you. That's not that's not cool. You're better than you're giving yourself credit for. And like it was really great to hear at that. And so like it makes sense now that like Mark isn't good at that. Mark can't stand up for himself in that way. He will take that guilt and fold to it, whereas Steven now doesn't have that kind of guilt like begrudging him, because that's how that persona and how he was like created to kind of like withstand that stuff. So now we see a new development of, again, Mark and Steven having balance here together, in the fact that this would be now like something that previous in the first episode, I never would have guessed this to be a strength for Steven. But here, dealing with Khonshu, after seeing that memory and walking through and doing all of that and trying to find balance in that last episode, it would make sense now that with that new knowledge, Steven could use that to become, powerful and do this battle and do this negotiation and stuff. So it was really cool. It was really awesome that we see Steven make this negotiation and finalize this deal to then cut ties with Khonshu, with obviously Mark's approval, because he doesn't want to do it. He's gonna let Steven, talk for him. They talk for each other. They know what's up. They understand each other's feelings on this. But this is let Steven shine and stuff. So it was cool. It was cool to see that. Then he gets shot up into the moon or into the sky, and we see the moon because the sun's getting ready to set, and we see his awesome symbol go into the sun there, and or the moon or whatever, and we see his awesome symbol there with the big crescent on it, and it's just great. But we also get something. We get a quick cut to Osiris, and he's basically dying. He dies in Layla's arms. Layla asks, what can we do to defeat, Harrow and Ammit, since Ammit's been released now. Osiris says the Chamber of the Gods is our most powerful play. It's the best place to try and do it. We've got to bind Ammit to a human life, and that will make, that will make Ammit and Ammit vulnerable to the human. If the human dies, Ammit dies, kind of thing. And so we get Layla calling out to Taret to, temporarily become a avatar for her. We get Moon Knight is flying at jet speed across the sky and the desert and everything like that. It was really weird. I didn't realize that Khonshu's powers and ancient ceremonial attack robes and stuff that he has gave him jet speed flight. That was cool. But it was something that I saw it right away and I was like, what? When did this become a thing? And again, like I said, most of the stuff other than Spider-Man or the X-Men, which we've seen Spider-Man in the MCU, but other than Spider-Man and X-Men, when it really came to Marvel and a bunch of their characters, a lot of this stuff I didn't know much of, other than maybe one or two kind of big storylines from either a certain writer or writer artist or whatever like that. Moon Knight was a little bit different because Bill Szynski also did a bunch of the covers for The Question, one of my other favorite non super popular characters. Maybe, I don't know. They brought him back for that Black Label stuff, The Question. Anyhow, he did a bunch of covers for that Denny O'Neil, Dennis Cohen 80s run of The Question. I think that ran 39, 40 issues or something like that. And I want to say Bill did the first 26, 30, maybe the first 26 or 30 covers for that. I feel like he stopped maybe at 25, maybe 26. But either way, he was doing that. And then Bill Szynski also did a huge, very important run of the artwork and stuff of of Moon Knight. He's featured at the end in the at the end of the. His name's featured at the end here, and I'll talk about that once we get to it. But Mark and Khonshu are traveling together. Moon Knight's traveling a speed of light, like a plane being self-propelled, as like Haro is then climbing the top of like the pyramid of Giza, getting ready to like give a like judging signal. All the followers then in the street start judging, the people of Cairo, because that's what like Ammit, once they left the chamber of the gods when Layla was helping Osiris, that's what she was saying, like, let's start cleansing the streets of Cairo. We also then, and this is like the part of like where in the Dawet earlier in episode like 5, and we saw all of those like bodies and stuff coming down, and like, I don't know, I thought that was like what we would have been seeing here, but that doesn't make sense because Mark's already back now. And so like, again, I don't know what we really saw there, or how Haro was really just like cleaning out people at that point. I don't know what he did, because we saw a lot there. Anyway, back to the episode. Ammit, they start doing the the cleansing of the street and the people, but then Ammit starts growing into a kaiju, like, she's looking like an alligator and stuff, so she's turning into like a kaiju like alligator, getting ready to start fighting, like fighting and taking over Cairo, and then slowly the world. Like, oh man, we get an awesome thing for Layla. Something that I didn't know, like, that Scarlet Scarab. We get Layla turning into the Scarlet Scarab, which is really awesome. Because it only makes sense that she also gets like a time like this to like have like a team up with an avatar. Like, she deserves it. We've seen her be nothing but as capable of as like Mark throughout all of this series and stuff, as being able to like fight and handle herself and everything. So like, this was cool to see, because I really felt she was deserving of this in this then like now final episode of the of Moon Knight. But then Moon Knight and Haro face off with the kaiju looking Ammit and Khonshu in the background, and like, that's really great. Moon Knight and Haro eventually are throwing themselves into like a crowded streets and stuff. Ammit is continuing to ask Khonshu, like, why do the same dance? Why are we doing the same thing over and over? Khonshu is punishing those who are, and like, this is kind of like what I said earlier and what they were talking about before, like, Khonshu is punishing those who have done evil, who have chosen to do evil. Ammit just wants to get rid of anyone who might commit evil in their lifetime. And Moon Knight, then we get, and like, that's been their argument back and forth for Khonshu and Ammit. That's like why they were like together for a while, as we've like heard sprinklings of throughout the series. Then we get a cut back to Moon Knight almost taken out by Haro. Like, Haro gets like a good one on him. He's saved by Layla in her Scarlet Scarab costume. We get Steven being like, or we get Mark being like, how'd you get back? And like, Steven, it switches to Steven like, oh my god, you look amazing. What are you wearing? Ammit is continuing, why do you continue to fight me, Khonshu? I'm just gonna beat you. I'm just like, right? And Khonshu's like, well, it's my choice, which is exactly what you're trying to take away from me and from everyone else, and that is why I am going to continue to, battle you, Ammit. It is very interesting. They're back and forth. I get it. We have to see a whole bunch. Not a whole bunch. I honestly think that we see almost a little too much of the Ammit Khonshu like conversations that they're having back and forth as the battle. Because all we really need to see for them, in my opinion, is just get a couple of the cuts into there for their conversation. But we can really just see those two battling in the background because the Scarlet Scarab, the Harrow, and the Moon Knight battle in the streets is actually really cool. I really liked it. So then we get the intercut of Layla and Moon Knight fighting Harrow, and like Ahmed and Khonshu fighting. We get Steven saying like, "I'm really jazzed to show you these new set of skills that we've got." It, you know, we get some awesome switches between Mark as Moon Knight and Steven as Mr. Knight, and it is so great. Steven is great with his Billy Club Eskremna sticks. It's really awesome. Like he's just like doo, 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 doo. It's exactly, but I mean like, so for this is very reminiscent of how you would, of how Daredevil, not necessarily the Netflix now on Disney Plus Daredevil show, but like how Daredevil the character kind of fights with his things, or like how Nightwing fights with his Eskremna sticks. It's all really great stuff, and we see Steven, kind of be pretty good at that, which is pretty awesome because again, it's the idea that we see that Steven believes if Mark can do it, I can do it because it's the same body. It's just a matter of getting that connection there. So him having, like Billy Club, Scrum Sticks, whatever you want to call them, as the Mr. Knight character weapon, like makes a lot of sense, I think. I think it works for it. Because like we saw him play cricket, so the idea of him at least having an idea of how to swing things around like that to try and hit something, would make sense that he could translate that. But I mean, he's all made up, so I don't know, But Mark knows how to fight, so it's all great. I love it. But one of my favorite shots though also happens with the Eskremna sticks, and it's when Steven throws it at Harrow, throws his Eskremna stick at Harrow. Harrow then blocks it, and it ricochets, and Moon Knight catches it, and it's like a switch of character at this point because it's like Moon Knight, not Mr. Knight, so it's not Steven in that suit with the like skin tight mask. It is actually Mark Spector as Moon Knight in his like ceremonial Khonshu god fighting war garb or whatever he called it. So all of that was really awesome. That was my favorite shot of the block and the ding 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 catch. Awesome. Loved it so much. It was so good. I don't know. I just loved it so much. But Ahmet then, kaiju looking Ahmet and Khonshu here. Khonshu gets knocked down, and is like knocked down hard. We get Steven, does a little dust of his jacket and then tries to kick Harrow. Harrow grabs him, throws him through a building. Yeah. Throws him through a building. Moon Knight then, grapnel gun shoots his way out of like the rubble of the building he just hit, and then hits Harrow, and man, it is great. Now we get Layla and Harrow are taking each other on, like truly 2-on-1, and Harrow then starts launching his purple like magic stuff out of his little skull staff thing, and Layla is able to deflect it, but it then starts hitting a van that some innocent civilians had just gotten into, and so Layla stops fighting with Mark, and Moon Knight runs over to the van, stops the van, saves a child from getting a little girl from getting knocked, like crashed into, destroyed by this van that's getting pushed by Harrow and she's like, saves the little girl in the street. The little girl is then asks like, "Are you an Egyptian like superhero?" Asks that. I believe the subtitle said it was Arabic, but I will say it was a yellow. On Disney Plus, it was in a different color subtitle than all of the English subtitles. I do watch it. I believe it said it was in Arabic. I believe that's what it was. And so she asks, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And Layla responds, "I am." And it was great to see, because like that little girl doesn't know any like different, like, "Are you from here? You kind of look like me. Like I don't know. Are you like me? Can I be like you too?" So that was really cool. Seeing it, seeing that like. Because again, it's the whole idea, representation matters, like women seeing other women in these positions, and even just like in a little Egyptian girl seeing a newly like dubbed Scarlet Scarab in Layla as an Egyptian superhero. Yes, like we need to see more of stuff like that. Like that's why like Black Panther works, and then like all of that, and Shang-Chi works, and like seeing more of these characters being dug up so that more and more people can see themselves up on like screen, or people like them and whatnot, is awesome. So like that was really cool. It was really cool to see like that. And then it's also like, for whatever reason, I thought that could have been a connection to Miss Marvel, but I'm wrong on that. I like, it's just great to see that, to see all of this stuff, and to see more of these characters be like put out there. Like I know Layla's not necessarily a deep cut from like Moon Knight or anything. It was really created in Scarlet Scarab. In the Moon Knight like comic, like lore history is different, and maybe even be like maybe like a cousin or something. I feel like maybe another brother or something, or because I thought it was some like family member of his actually. But anyhow, making Layla it for the show is way awesome, so that we can have this awesome scene between this little girl Layla, and like seeing somebody like her being a superhero and being awesome in this moment of like crisis and need and everything like that. Moon Knight, then is almost killed by Harrow, and Layla's getting fired upon by like Harrow's men at really close range, because Harrow threw or deflected one of Moon Knight's like moon crescent things, and it like pinned her one arm up against like a like the bottom portion of that van that she just stopped from like crashing and like having the people inside die and the little girl die. So it's up there, so she's got her other wing like here, just being like boom 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 boom, blocking her. And like we get the blank out of Mark and Steven again, of Mark then holding Harrow's axe portion of his staff right above Harrow. And they drop Harrow. Mark's like, "That wasn't me." Steven's like, "That wasn't me either, man." Like, I don't know. I don't know who that was. But even Layla then says, "Whoa, Mark, what was that?" Because she had to have seen something. She saw something here. And I wish that they almost would have explored it a little bit more here. But they really don't, because they move on. Layla is then like, "I know how to stop Ammit. We got to get, Harrow inside the chamber of the gods there." They do the spell to bind Ammit to Harrow. We get a cutback to then Ammit the bad guy monologue at the end here. We get Ammit monologuing about the paradise that she wanted with Khonshu. Mark and Layla, and it's intercut with Mark and Layla continually doing the spell to bind Harrow to Ammit and Ammit to Harrow. Khonshu wants, once we get that, and Ammit starts to disappear, Khonshu shows up into the Chamber of the Gods with Harrow laying there, totally incapacitated and whatnot. And, Khonshu's like, kill him. Kill him. Kill him. We can't let them like have a chance to come back or do anything crazy like that. We need to nip this in the butt, as they say, right now. We need to get rid of them right now. And Mark finally says, if you want them dead, do it yourself. Now release us. And Khonshu releases them as they wish. We get a wake up into the mental hospital with Harrow, Doctor, and Mark is like, hey, do you believe in all of that? Of Khonshu and Ammit and everything we just saw? And then Mark and Steven are switching between each other as Dr. Harrow gets up, starts walking away, there's a trail of blood behind him. Dr. Harrow has no idea what's going on. They realize that that's still just like all in their head, and that they want to actually be a superhero and live their life, because you know what? Dr. Harrow doesn't know what's really going on now. That whole mental hospital thing is some shared delusion, is what you could say, by an after effect of being an avatar to a god. Is maybe that's where all Egyptian gods' avatars are? They're all in that mental hospital, maybe? I don't know. But either way, it was just interesting. It was just interesting that we wake up here in the mental hospital, we see the bleeding feet, and Harrow is confused by it. So we understand that the Dr. Harrow now and the Arthur Harrow that we saw as the like cult leader and then the eventual avatar for Ammit was not connected the same way as Mark and Steven, which also asks the question then, is Dr. Harrow and Arthur Harrow truly two separate personalities as well within the one Harrow body that is now also host to Ammit? I don't know. Again, I think that's one of those like unanswerable, unknowable kind of questions unless I get a chance to interview, some of the creatives and stuff involved. And if they have an answer, great. Or if somebody else knows an answer, please let me know. Drop it in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. I'd like to know. But so we get the wake up in the hospital. Don't know as much as you would. I would rather, still be a superhero and, save the world. They fall backwards, wake up in in Mark's apartment, Steven's apartment that we were first introduced to, really. Still chained to the wall or to the pole. And, they wake up there. Are you there? Yep. I can't believe you live in this mess. Mark tried moving out of his bed. He's in the, he's on the floor, face down, and then we get the end. It just goes to black, and the credits start to roll. Now, this is the best part. Not the best part, but this is one of the coolest things about this episode, or about this series. The series gave us only 2 cold opens with absolutely nothing in the mid credits, whereas WandaVision did give us mid-credit stuff for sure. I believe we got some in Hawkeye, and I am unsure about Falcon and the Winter Soldier right now, and Loki if we got any mid-credit scenes. I think actually Loki they would change the or the title sequences to include or omit certain people if they had died or if we were meant to believe that they were dead. They didn't show up in the title or into the credits or anything like that. So this was, like, this is great. I love the Marvel mid or post credit sequence, but it's great. It's Harrow in the mental institution, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Bill Szynski's name is the name of the hospital that Harrow is staying at here. And it was really cool to see because, like I said, he did a huge run. Like, they pulled a lot from Jeff Lemire and the Smallwood run of comics. That's like the mental institution part and how they kind of dove in and out of it for like episode 4 and 5 and whatnot. Well, the end of episode 4 and all of episode 5 of what they did like that was like really heavily influenced on it. But either way, Bill Szynski did a lot of really, really great artwork for a big portion of like that original Moon Knight run and whatnot after it had gotten its own series from first appearing in Werewolf by Night. But so he's at the Szynski hospital. He's picked up by a man in black. The nurse is kind of like confused, and the subtitle said he's just speaking Spanish, like it's okay, I'll take care of him, no problem. And they wheel him out. Harrow gets shoved into a back of a limo. And when I saw the limo, I was like, oh no. Because then we see, as he's pulling up to the limo, actually, if I'm being honest, as they're rolling Harrow up, because Harrow's in his wheelchair, as they're rolling up to the limo, the reflection in the window, like, I saw who it was in that. They do a really good job of like covering it, but I knew it was who we find out it to be. Harrow gets pushed in there, and Harrow on his way out actually sees a dead nurse at the front station, which is like, oh, that's not good. Then he gets pushed into the back. I see somebody in the reflection. I'm not going to say it yet until I get there of how it's revealed in the episode, which is in a minute here. We see that person who was wheeling Harrow out kick the wheelchair, go around to the front of the car. Then we hear Khonshu start talking. Khonshu is also sitting in the back of the limo. And Khonshu's talking about, like Mark Spector doesn't know how disturbed he is. He thought I wanted his wife for an avatar, when really he doesn't know what is what is going on, or how troubled he is, or who else is with him. And we get from Khonshu. The window separating the back and the front rolls down. Khonshu's like, I'd like you to meet my friend, Jake Lockley. And we turn, and who was it that I saw in that reflection? If you didn't catch it right away in it when they're rolling up to that, it's Oscar Isaac. This is the third personality. So this is who we had to have been seeing when it wasn't Mark and it wasn't Steven fighting earlier. We got the third personality. This was a big thing. And I wonder why we didn't see him before. Maybe Jake is the most violent, so they were like, well, like let's keep him be like a little bit of a secret. Like when things get super crazy, then he comes out. But that's really all he is, and that's kind of what they did because we never saw him speak until like just now, and we only see him speak a little bit, and it's Spanish. Whereas, like, I thought Jake Lockley, I believe, is actually a New York cabbie. But it's interesting that he's a driver of a limo. The license plate of the limo says Spectre on it. It's awesome. It was really great to see that. I think they did a really great job. I think with that post-credit scene, it gives people enough to possibly want to see Oscar Isaac some more. Again, Oscar Isaac has been pretty open. The rest of the creative team have been pretty open that, hey, we're not really having there haven't been conversations about him showing up in anything else. Now with the creative team, they just may not use that creative team ever again for Moon Knight, but Oscar Isaac may be like a supporting character go from now into the future in a bunch of other projects. I think it's silly to get rid of the creative team or most of the creative team or whatever behind Moon Knight, because I personally think that they did a really great job with this series. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I have thoroughly enjoyed just learning more about this character, and Oscar Isaac is giving a powerhouse of a performance. Ethan Hawke is also giving a great performance, and God, I gotta check this. I can't remember her name, but the actress who plays Layla is also quite amazing as well, and why won't this? But the performances for all of this series so far has been quite amazing. Like I said, Oscar Isaac is just giving a powerhouse performance. Ethan Hawke is amazing, and May Calamé is also awesome. She is so good. She's just so great in it, as well as Layla, and this whole series has just been really fun. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. I've gone really long on this episode, but of course, it's at this point, it's a series finale. So let's stay tuned. Please like and subscribe to the video, to our channel here. I want to appreciate you. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate you all for joining me today. I am Jimmy with the Triple C Collective, ending this Superhero Saturday, Moon Knight, Episode 6, Gods and Monsters. You all stay safe. Have a great day.